Okay, Shadow of Mordor. I just played through it. You can see the stream if you want a non-commentary, almost complete playthrough of the game. I don't know why we would, but okay. And I say almost complete because I completed the main story. I collected all the collectibles, and I completed all the weapon challenges, but I didn't. There are rescue missions that are basically all the same, and I didn't kill one beast. I have killed that type of beast throughout the story and challenges, but I had to do it one more time and I didn't bother going back for that before completing it. So mostly complete, and I did play around some with the Nemesis system, but that's something that does has an endless supply of content, and we'll get back to that. But okay, so I think if there is a main thesis on Shadow of Mordor, it would be that it's a lot better than the sum of its parts, because all those parts are by themselves decent. The story is decent, the gameplay is decent, the world is I'd say it's one of the better open worlds, but that's mainly because there's not that much of it, and I'm not a big fan of open worlds in games. So the fact that it's small makes it good, and it does have a very good drive. There's always something nearby, just a little more, and all the activities in games take very little time, so it pushes you. Collecting the collectibles isn't really fun. You just run up to them and press the button, but since it takes so little time, and there's one more, it keeps you playing. So it's competently made. That's something I can come back to sometimes. It's competently made, and the gameplay, it's very Arkhamian or something. It's very the Batman Arkham series. They took that and mostly copied it, made it. You get very powerful very fast in this game, which is fun, but it also it's fun, but it makes the become too powerful. At the end of the game, there is no challenge in it. So there's that, and let's talk about the story. No, wait, because we're going to talk about the story now, but let's talk about, because ludonarratively, this is a good game. This is an example of that done right, in a very non-pretentious way. After Clint Hawking had launched the term ludonarrative dissonance, and thus its opposite, ludonarrative harmony, you had some games trying things that didn't really work to achieve this, and you had a certain type of story that kind of became awkward at that point. But this is very much an example of it done right, because it's a revenge story, which is in some terms, or I say revenge, but that's not really it. Okay, so at the start of the game, you play as Talion, a ranger, guarding the border to Mordor. At the start of the game, orcs attack and they kill your son, your wife, and you, Talion. So yeah, Talion's son, wife, and you, and Talion. Because you're not, you control Talion, but this Talion is his own character. This isn't one of those games where you are the protagonist, Talion is the protagonist. But even though you die, your throat is slit, you come back to life because the elf that made Celebrimbor is his name, the elf who made the Rings of Power, and the one true ring to rule them all, possesses you. So you get his powers. And he lies to Talion and says that he has to kill the Black Hand, the orc, I guess, Uruk creature that killed him, to lift this curse and to get to die. So to some degree, it isn't, about revenge. It's about killing the Black Hand. Is pretty utilitarian, really, from Talion's perspective. And so you set about, and to get to the Black Hand, you have to, do quests and possess a lot of orcs. And there is this Nemesis system. You probably heard of it. It's the famous thing. And honestly, I don't know how much I have to say about it. It's a little bit fun to play around. It got expanded on a lot in the sequel Shadow of War. Here it's a fun inclusion, and it brings something to the game, but it's not that deep or that big. So shame it got patented, because it really is a system that you could have done things with. But here in this game, they don't really do that much interesting. At the end of the game, the game selects you a nemesis that you have to fight. And I think I recognized the name of my my nemesis when I got to think about it a little bit during the fight, but no, there's no arc to your nemesis, at least not for mine. It probably can, and this is my second playthrough of the game, and last time I had the same experience. So I guess it can click for some players. In these 2 playthroughs, it hasn't clicked for me. Okay, so but. Yeah, back to the story. And, as it's an open world, you have 2 zones, 2 open worlds, I guess you can say. You explore in, and you do stories. And, there are kind of 3 layers of the story. There is the overarching kill the Black Hand, get to die story. And then you have the story of Celebrimbor that you get to explore. And in both of the open worlds, there are a smaller story about the survivors that live there. And I don't think I have that much to say about any of them, really. The story works, but it doesn't do more than work, if you know what I mean. You get an excuse to do the things you do, and it's entertaining and all, and it works up to the point of the ending, which I am going to. Okay, so the thing, as I said at the start of the game, Talion loses his wife and son. He loses, as we faced that he has nothing left to live for, and when your protagonist has nothing left to live for, he either has to die at the end of the story or he has to find something to live for. And in this game they choose this day. He finds something he has to live for, and I love that. The problem is it sort of just happened at the end of the game. You kill the main bad, and Celebrimbor said, okay, we did this, okay, now you can die, I want to die too. And then Talion just goes, Lamau, no, let's keep going. And so that's. And as I said, I do love the fact that they have him keeping on living, because I'm tired of stories about men who has nothing left to live for because they lost their families or jobs or whatever, and now their life has no inherent value, is what the story says when they just die at the end of the story. But the problem is the game doesn't really supply a reason for Talion to keep on living, so it doesn't do its job. So where does all this leave us? As with most good games, because this is very much a good game, it leaves us with saying that it's a fun time, but it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really say anything, which in this medium is almost the best you can hope for. But play it. It's a good game. It just could have been so much better, which is annoying. And I could probably keep griping on small things or whatever, but that's the thing about this game and the whole medium, really. As an art form, it just keeps on failing.